It's been described, I think it was just even last month, that after several years now with the Academy, that you said that you can feel a wave of impact, even if there's a lack of what you describe as hard data. And you've said that, unfortunately, fortunately, people within the community believe that data has to support everything. So let's talk about the wave, and then let's talk about the data. Where are you on both subjects?
Well, the first one, I spent nearly my whole life in this sport. I started racing at the age of 8, so I went through the world of karting. I went through the world of single seaters. I obviously made it to Formula One, and then I ran a team on the other side. So I really get both sides of what we're trying to now do with F1 Academy. And when I was growing up and in the sport, it was so different to how it is now. There was no role models for me to look up to. There was never this idea of there being opportunities singled out because you were female. It was very much you were viewed as something different. And that brought the one benefit that you got a lot of media attention because you were the only one. But it's such a different landscape now. There are so many opportunities for young women, and the next generation have a clear pathway that they can now follow. And obviously racing has that high financial barrier to entry, which we've managed to take away for these young, most talented female drivers. And even with the F1 teams being on board now, the idea that every F1 team supports a young female driver, that's something I'm so proud of, because when I was racing, it was so different to how it is now. And I'm very conscious that F1 Academy can't just be something which is shiny and new and exciting and then dies away in a few years. We need to set ourselves up for success in the long term, because it's only by racing year after year and creating these opportunities on and off track year after year that we'll really see the difference long term. And I'm also someone, by the way, that loves data to give you the feedback that what you're doing is bringing results, that it is being impactful. It's not just talk. It's not just ticking a diversity box. But the challenge for us is we're not the governing body of the sport. So we can't say, okay, well, how many extra license holders are there down to the fact that F1 Academy exists? But what we can feel is that there's movement where suddenly we see there's never been so many young girls in the world of karting. And all of my contacts from the world of karting call it the F1 Academy effect. Suddenly, there's a lot more young girls coming to the racetrack, and they're all saying, well, I want to get to F1 Academy. And suddenly the goal is clear. And then in the world of motorsport, generally, there's just so many more successful women who are those strong role models for the next generation. And the paddock is just such a different place now than it was 10 years ago.
We had Samantha Tan on this program, and she said to us, as a young female driver working her way up through the ranks, she said, without the F1 Academy, I'm not sure that even any of this would be possible from a visibility standpoint. And you hit on it. The karting piece of it was the piece that was missing, because if you don't have a foundation, correct, then there's nowhere to build up to. So in a way, your efforts at the top have led to the efforts at the grassroots level. Is that accurate?
100% accurate. And for me, it was one of my first areas of focus. It's a numbers game.
Right.
When we get participating, the more chance we have of the best rising to the top. And then on the other side, we need to make sure that our most talented are able to go and progress up the ladder. We cannot be something. Obviously, I made my life more difficult for myself by stating that a driver could only ever stay for 2 seasons. But that was to make sure that we move the talent upwards, but we also are able to create opportunity for the next generation, not that we end up with the same drivers year after year. So obviously, I like adding to my workload.
Well, some have described you as having a quiet confidence. That's how you've been described. Is that right? Is that fair, Susie?
It's difficult to think of how you are yourself. I don't always need to be the loudest person in the room. I don't always need to shout from the rooftops when I think we've achieved something great as a team. But quiet confidence, yeah, I have belief in that what I'm trying to create can be impactful. But I'm very tough on myself. I always like to keep challenging myself. I'm not good at staying in my comfort zone. And so even when things are running quite smoothly, I think, okay, what can I do more? What still left is there if I'm feeling comfortable right now?
So, I'll give you another fair or unfair characterization of you. A name synonymous with the fight for women in motorsport.
Well, that's one I would, whoever said that, I would be very proud that they think that, because I don't view myself as an out and out feminist, but I do think in this sport, because of how long I've been in this sport, and I have a voice, I have a place at the table, and I want to use that for good. And if I can use that voice to help the next generation, it will be something which I will look back with proudly.
Have you always had that fight in you? And I'll ask related, does coming from a small town in Scotland make you that way?
I think I've always had that fight. And unfortunately for my husband, I still have that fight in me. He says, can you not just, calm down and enjoy an easy time? Because already my job is quite challenging. But I've realized that I'm a better wife and I'm a better mother. I'm a better individual when I've got a challenge on my hands. I love to be challenged, and I've got a lot of inner drive. And you're right, there's probably an element where I came from a small town and my parents gave me the best start in life I could have hoped for because they opened the world up. But I realized if I wanted to achieve what I wanted to achieve, I was going to have to work incredibly hard. But luckily for me, I love what I do. So even although I would like to think I work very hard, I enjoy what I do, and I feel in a privileged position that I'm able to be part of something which is creating a platform which makes it better for people.